As you can see, I have a black eye. And before it goes away forever, I thought it would be a wonderful idea to answer the question, why does God let bad things happen? So when we come back, we're going to find out what I was doing and what God was doing when something bad was happening. So, where was God when a bad thing was happening? Well, before I tell you about my experience and how I got this black eye, I want to go over the rules of the game because life is like a game. And if you don't know the rules, you're constantly going to be struggling and feeling as though it's just stacked against you and you're never going to be able to come out on top, be a winner, or feel good about the life that you're living. So, there are three aspects to your life journey, and they are free will, responsibility, and consequences. Those are the three things that you are in charge of every moment of every day of your life. And if you don't get these things conquered, they are going to conquer you. So what is God's responsibility? What's God supposed to be doing in all this? Well, I see God as a total being, the Alpha and the Omega, the everything that is everywhere. So I refer to them as they instead of he or she. So what is God's responsibility? What is God's role in your life? Well, they are continuously and without exception offering you the ability to become even more than you already are. They are not here to stop you, to prevent you, to be a dictator and tell you what you can or cannot do. They are here to uplift, to guide, to support, to motivate, to educate, to help you make better choices, and to love and support you throughout it all. Because whether you end this physical journey or you continue on as the result of whatever you're choosing to engage in, you are always safe and loved. You may be safe in your non-physical form, or you may be safe in your physical form. Either way, the soul, the being that is you, will continue without harm. The only thing that you are gaining is more knowledge. You are growing on your path toward enlightenment. So God's job is not to prevent, not to act like a policeman or a dictator, but to guide you and to allow you to have the experience that comes with free will. So what is free will? Well, free will says you decide what you want to experience. Now, this happens in two parts. You have your pre-birth choosing, where you get to decide the group of experiences that are most likely to occur in your life. Usually, we stuff our cart full of more experiences than we could handle in one life, and we generally believe that we're going to be better able to navigate the life journey than we are. So we tend to overdo in that area. However, we have free will, and so we are allowed to make choices that may not be beneficial. Not for the purpose of hurting, not for the because you need to be punished, but because you have the free will to choose what you believe is going to give you the optimal life experience for growth. We begin every life journey wanting to grow, wanting to become more enlightened than we were in the previous incarnation. And so you have to have the opportunity. God is always guiding, assisting, teaching, loving, but your role in this is you get to decide whether you're going to listen and follow along with God's assistance, or whether you're going to use your free will and go off in a different direction. So God is not responsible for the outcome of your choices. You are the one that has that responsibility. You get to choose, and now you must be responsible for the choice, for the outcome of your choice. And that's how we get to consequences. So we all know that for every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. This means that no one is free of the reaction to the action, or from the consequence of the choice. The two are connected. It is not God punishing you. It is you making a choice and not fully becoming aware or understanding what consequence you may be receiving, or knowing what consequence is possible, and then deciding, well, I'm going to do it anyway. Free will says you get to make bad choices and not get punished, but receive the outcome of those choices. Free will does not say you get to make a bad choice and it is up to the divine to step in and stop you from receiving a consequence. Now, why is that so? Well, let's imagine that the divine are the perfect teachers, because they are perfect in every way and they are complete. They have already decided all that they are going to be, and that is unconditional love and acceptance. So they cannot offer punishment, because that would be unloving or unaccepting. They can offer correction. They can help you grow based on the choices that you've made. They can guide you, but they're not going to squash you or demean you or make you feel ashamed or belittled. This is not within the scope of who they have decided they want to be as a complete being. But let's just say that God is the teacher in your elementary school classroom. So the teacher is writing on the board and saying, okay, class, now we're going to learn this particular lesson. And they write the lesson on the board and they talk about the lesson with all of you. And they say, okay, now I want you to show me that you have learned what I have taught you. And they pass out worksheets to everyone. And then they say, oh, never mind. We don't want you to have the experience of learning. So just give me all your worksheets. We will fill them out, and then we'll return them to you. That wouldn't work. God already knew what they were sharing. They chose to share it with you, but instead of asking and seeking whether you understood what was shared, whether you could now apply it and move forward in your life, they're trying to do all of the work for you. So, because the divine are perfect, they say, hey, we're going to give you universal laws and spiritual truths that you're going to be able to live your life by. And we are going to constantly be guiding you and helping you and supporting you and inspiring you. But it's up to you how much you want to listen to us and how much you just feel like you need to go on your own. And then the way we assess how well you learn is based on your choice. If you are constantly choosing to throw yourself off the cliff because you think you know better, well, then it will be clear that you need even more assistance. However, if when God hands you that assignment or you've made that choice about what experience you want to have, you sit down and look at it and then say, gosh, I don't think I understand this assignment. God, could you help me? Could you explain this further? If you are willing to be in partnership with the divine, you will live a life that is much more meaningful, much more likely to give you the results that you want, and still provides you plenty of growth. But because none of us are there yet, if we were, we would be ascended masters. But because we're not there yet, generally, we make a choice and then we forget to ask God, is this a good way for me to go forward? And we go full steam ahead right into the consequence. And then we may say, God, why are you punishing me? Or why did you let that bad thing happen? And their reply is, every action has an equal and opposite reaction. If you don't want the consequence, you must make a different choice. So, how did I get this black eye? Was God asleep while I was making this ridiculous choice? No. And throughout the incident, again and again and again, I was told, stop. But I ignored it. So what exactly happened? Well, my son got a new e-bike, and he thought it was really important for me to try it out. He was so excited, and he was sure that I would love it. I was pretty hesitant, but he was so insistent and loved this thing so much that I said, oh, heck, why not? I can ride a bicycle. Just because I've never ridden one that has a motor, what's the difference? Okay, so I go outside. The first thing, I'm too short. I can't get on this bicycle. Red flag, stop. No problem. Let's go over to the curb, which gives you about 4 inches. So now you'll be tall enough to get on the bicycle. Okay, I'm on the bike, but my feet can't touch the ground. So I can't push myself off or, get any kind of support in balancing. But I'm going to ignore that too. Now, my son is showing me how the mechanics of this thing work. And he says, oh, I think we need to turn the throttle off. I'm thinking, yeah, good idea. Probably safer. And then he says, nah, we'll just put it on low. And I'm feeling like, stop, turn that off. But I ignore that. Oh, good. Then I'll get the experience of the motorized bicycle. So here I am on a bike that is too big with no way to touch the ground, and I am going uphill. So I have to start pedaling uphill on something that is quite heavy because it has 2 batteries, and yet I can't push off or give myself any kind of oomph from the ground. So I'm thinking, okay, this can't be very hard. It's just going to require extra pushing from me to get started, extra leg strength, because I'm going uphill and this is a heavy bike. And in my head, I remember, gosh, when I was a kid and we had to ride uphill, we would pull back on the handlebars so that we would have more strength and we could push harder on the pedals, and that would move the bike forward. So I start a few pedals, wobbling all over the place, And then I remember, oh yeah, I gotta pull back on the handlebars and really push this. Well, guess where the throttle's located? In the handlebar. So as I pull back on the handlebars, trying to give me the strength to pedal to get this heavy bike started up the hill, suddenly I take off, completely out of control, and drive right into the side of a parked car. And I hit hard. So, where was God in all of this? God told me over and over again, this is not a good idea. Don't do this. I chose to refuse to listen to the stop signs and to go ahead. But even though I went ahead with my uninformed choice and hit hard, I was still cushioned by divine protection. I did get a big lump on my head. I did get a black eye. I did not get a concussion or have any serious injuries from this accident. Now, I hit so hard that there were some kids that were driving by on bicycles while I was getting my lesson in how to drive safely from my son. And they were at the top of the hill as I hit the car. I hit so hard, and it must have made a loud noise, because they came back to ask me if I was okay. I got up, walked away from that with a big goose egg that required ice, but had no other serious injury. So even though I made a mistake, I was still given divine protection. God loves you. God wants to see you living a life that is filled with joy. But you must agree to allow them to guide you, to support you, to help you. Because you have free will. And if you say no thank you, they will not force their will on you. Now is the time to open your heart. Say, yes, please lead me and guide me. And you will discover that life becomes easier and easier.